Hi, welcome to Best Two Podcast, the podcast where women come to share their stories and have great conversation, because when women share their stories, we are better together and individually. We are your hosts, Cindy
and Sam
and Stacy,
and today we have two wonderful poets with us and authors, and they're going to be having conversation with Stacy as well as us. Cindy and Sam are off camera today because, well, that's all we could fit on cameras, the three of them, and that's who you need to see. So join in the conversation and let's get into it.
All right.
So, hey guys, today we have one of my really close friends, like my sister, Nazima, a great poetess. Her book is Good Dog, Bad Dog, so definitely check it out. You can go to her Instagram link and find it, as well as Poetess Pride, my good friend Marquita, and her book is self-titled Poetess Pride, and it's
Actually,
poppin'.
I'm sorry, I have to correct you. Pride in Print is what it's called.
She's right,
awesome.
but
We
I
have
got
the
it
book.
because the PRYD periods is how you spell Poetess Pride, so I was almost there.
Bring the book to the camera a little bit better. Awesome.
There we go. Awesome.
Can we see your book too?
All right, we have another book, Good Dog, Bad Dog. I love the name of this book too. So,
Okay.
Marquita, can you tell people, because I thought it was so cool, what Pride stands for?
So my name is Marquita.
Marquita, I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
It happens. Pride stands for powerful, resilient, young, determined, encouraged. All the things that represent me.
Oh, awesome.
I really like that. That's deep.
Thank
Actually,
you.
it says it on the back of your book,
It
and I
does.
did read that.
It does.
I like that.
Thank you.
I want to know how you came up Good Dog, Bad Dog.
So I don't have like a super cool story. Like Marquita's is like super fly, and that's something I want to tell my kids. I was actually brainstorming one day, and I wrote it down, and I was like, oh, that's kind of like weird for a title. And then I drew the cover, and after that, I was like, boom, this is what I want to do, and that became the book.
I love it. And so I did read some of your, and I listened to some of Marquita's, and I read yours at, I can't remember the site, but it's self-published.
Do you have a website?
I do.
Tell everybody your
Okay.
website.
It's www.shop in my initials, so shopnzma.com.
Awesome. Do you have a website?
I do, and it's too long to remember. I'm so sorry. So,
But what can they Google to find you?
they can find me on Facebook. Well, they can actually find me on Instagram because in Instagram I am under Poetess Pride. So that's the best place to find me.
All right.
Yeah.
Also, you can get her book off of Amazon. I did see it up there, and I was gonna buy a copy.
Yes.
That's
So-
an
They
accomplishment.
actually just told me last night that they finally got it up on Amazon. So
No, it's been there for like a week. Dude.
really, well,
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
told me. They just told me last
They're
night.
slipping because it's been up there.
It has been
so
up there a while.
That's
Go
good.
get a
then.
book.
That's
Well,
wonderful.
only because I haven't been in their presence. I just saw them last night, and they were like, "By the way," so that's how that came out. So
Oh, okay.
good looking out, though. I appreciate that.
Of course, we gotta
So
stick
when
together.
when we have our workshops on, like, because different women in our whole sphere, our listeners, and our viewers, everyone's like doing their own gig, which is nice, right? But everyone's trying to find their way. So you figured out how to do the publishing on Amazon, so we can hook up with you for that. You figured out how to get your book up on your website and everything, so we'll need you to kind of hook everybody up with that. So that's so cool.
You know what? I when I was reading your poems, I think I saw one with the title, but they didn't really have titles to them. They're just, why? Why is that?
I don't want, not that I have an issue with titles, but with titles, it sets you up for the piece. And if you read a title, you're like, it's going to be about this. But I don't want you to go into it thinking like it's going to be this or it has to be this. So sometimes my titles have nothing to do. They have to do, they relate to the poem, but they're not related to the poem. So it kind of allows you to read the poem with an open mind.
Can you read us one?
I like that.
I
wanna
really
hear
like
one.
that.
Go ahead.
Read
Pick
us one of your
You know what?
favorites.
Disclaimer, I told her, pick your favorite poem because you're going to read it. And she wasn't ready. She go.
No.
She's ready now. She's
I'm-
ready now.
more or less ready. I have multiple favorites, but I think my absolute favorite that I have never performed is the last poem in the book. So.
Who you gonna give that to us? Oh, y'all, she giving us a piece of her soul.
Okay, I'm just the mom's
The whole Alright, but it's called Fall. As of recent, the block has been warm and gloomy. Maternal tears imitate the rain and fall on occasion. The classrooms are filled with fewer little boys than ever. Unspoken curfews are back in place. As the days get shorter, I can't help but wish you had made it. But just as the leaves, our ghetto soldiers too must fall.
I love that.
I like that.
I like the way you read too. Is that how you do it? I can't clap. I can't snap.
I think like always like even in high school like I really just enjoyed like how you read and like when we do Black History program for NAACP like that was my favorite. Like you were one of my favorite people because you're captivating when you get up there and you just start talking. I mean, that's my girl.
You do read. I love it.
Give us a sampler of one of your poems.
Okay. This piece is actually called Mind Over Madness.
Oh wait, you gonna read it without the you gonna
Of
do it?
course.
I listened to this one.
This is a level 10. Off the high dive with a twist.
So I won't do all of it because it's a little lengthy. I'll do a good portion of it. Have we began to overrate what we used to call a date? Whatever happened to men asking to take a woman out and then actually taking her out? I don't mean to pout, but there seems to be a drought when it comes to traditional ways. Call me old-fashioned if you like, but I remember back in the days, a guy would pick a girl up and take her on a date. I see more men take a woman to court than I see a woman get courted. And I'm trying to get this sorted in my head. Take me on a date before you try to take me to bed. Unfortunately, my shoulder does carry a chip. But if he's got the right salsa, we can go for a dip. I want to hang out with a gentleman, not a gentle boy. And a good hangout puts you in the mix. Nowadays, a date is considered going to his crib and watching Netflix. And I'll stop right there.
Wow. Marquita should plagiarize your poems when I was in school. That was really great.
Thank you.
And I like that. I loved your reflections. Like, I'm a sucker for reflections, so that was...
You're out here keeping it real.
There's no other way to do it. Of course.
So how do you guys come up with your poems? I'll just kind of start to
What's that inspiration?
camera
Where
right.
do you guys draw from?
Yeah.
Anything. Well, for me, anything, at least. If I'm having a bad day, I might write a happy poem because I wasn't happy. Or if I'm having a great day, it's like, dang, I was sad yesterday. Let's reflect on that now that I'm in a better place. So it could be anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, I found that. So, forgive my ignorance on this. Poems, poetry. Not the same, are the same?
I would say that they are. What do you say, Didi?
Yeah, I would say that poetry is like the genre, and then a poem is like, so like, and it's hip hop, but like a song. So poems would be like song, and then poetry would be like the genre. If that makes sense.
Okay. So, I'm wondering if you guys, who are your inspirational poets out there? Who do you guys look at, listen to, learn from, and besides
Maya Angelou.
right?
And it's so funny you say that. I'm sorry, Didi. I was smiling because Maya Angelou came to mind, as well as Langston Hughes. But I had to think back because someone else asked me this question some time ago, and I had to think back, and I didn't realize it until I actually thought about it. My first, what am I trying to say? My first encounter with poetry was Dr. Seuss. And I didn't know that until I thought about it. Yeah, so I thought about it and I said, I grew up with all of the books. So that was actually my first encounter, and so today I mean, no disrespect to Langston or Maya, I still love them, but I have to give credit to Dr. Seuss because he was my first.
That is the
real...
first time I've heard that. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it
that's
is.
pretty cool.
It is.
So when you guys were young, did it just like hit you? Did it come to you? Was it something that just reached down and grabbed you? Poetry, listening to it? like you. Okay, so you didn't realize it was Dr. Seuss, but
No, I didn't.
How did you know that poetry was your thing, the thing that you wanted to do that spoke to you?
The first poem I wrote, I was 15, and it was from what I thought would be my first heartbreak. And it was a true story. And I would say 90% of my poems are true stories, including the one that I just recited. Because it is actually based on a gentleman who didn't want to take me out on a date. So, hey.
I remember. It's so funny you should say that because I was listening to some music the other day, and I was thinking, like, when did music go from women being treated well and sung about well, and we were put up on a pedestal to just being skeezers and bitches and hoes? Where did all that go wrong?
It's when you let men write the story, facts, point blank, period. And that's why, guys, I don't know, I've talked about this before on the podcast actually, was that, who was it? Snoop Dogg, actually, that's gonna be the most recent one in my head. He put out a whole, like, interview talking about how he didn't like seeing women out there shaking all this, that, and the other, like Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B, nor Nicki Minaj, like how they're doing their own thing. They're walking out half naked on stage, but they're doing it for themselves. And so, like, I think that's the real issue when it comes to, like, music, especially, is that, you know, like, it was okay. It's great, you know, when you have the romantics in there, too, but it's also great, you know, like, when you have women that are taking care of their own bodies, in a sense. You're picking up what I'm putting down? Marquita, are you picking up what I'm putting down? Like, so that's what
I'm
it is.
picking
It's
up what
really
you're
just...
putting down.
Well, I was going to give you a different one. Jeez, Aunt Cindy. I was going to say, are you, like, squeezing the lemon? Like, that's, you know, like... See? That was a good one.
So when women tell their own story, so when they're the ones actually telling the story, it changes the conversation. I can't think of... There's only two, like, ballads, like, love story ballads that I can think of in song. Like, what? Bruno Mars, Versace on the Floor. And what's the one that I just played for you the other day? Remember?
Was it a country song?
No.
I was going to say tequila because that was loud.
Well, yeah, tequila. But, no, remember the other one? About coffee? You're my coffee in the morning.
Oh, her part.
Was
Yeah.
it?
Oh, no,
Her, yes.
It was
her.
Daniel Caesar and her, and it was best part. Yeah. That was
Yes.
But that
I
also
can't
had a
think of
woman in
any
it.
other.
So, like I
Yeah.
said, when women write the story, that's what you get across.
Yeah.
Women loving women, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I like that, but I had to interject that because
No, it's okay. It's okay. So that was actually my first encounter when I wrote my first poem. And when I wrote it, I was like, this rhymes. Okay. And then I wrote another, and then I was like, I think I'm a poet. But it didn't take me to realize it. It took a friend who read my stuff and was like, I'm taking you to an open mic. And that's where it started.
Wow.
Okay.
And how about for you?
The same for me. As far as inspiration, it wasn't Dr. Seuss. I was actually one of those kids who was like, I don't like this. It's too much rhyming. It's too colorful. I did not like it. I was definitely, I wasn't one of those kids. I wasn't like, oh, Dr. Seuss. Like, the only book that I don't even think it's Dr. Seuss, but it's Go Dog Go, and it was like remotely similar. But it was kind of poetry, but it didn't rhyme. So I didn't write poetry until I was 16. And we were having an open mic at my school, and then, like, my friend, he was on the poetry team, and he was like, you know, you'd be really good for this. Like, I've never heard you write poetry, but you write essays well. So I'm like, okay. And I wrote a poem, and everybody's like, oh, you gotta join the team. And then I joined the team, and they made me keep writing, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
So it just organically happened.
You know, it's so funny because when they talk about those books, and I'm thinking back in the day when Fun with Dick and Jane, they were to teach you to read books, but there was also that rhythm in the Fun with Dick and Jane books that kind of lends itself to that a little bit. But yeah, they were really interesting. So I have to ask you, I haven't really been into poetry a lot, but for some reason it's touching my life a lot right now. So there's this young lady, and I want to know if you guys know of her, and her name is Amanda Gorman. And she's the first black youth poet laureate.
Oh, cool.
And so I was wondering if you guys knew anything about her, because I find her story absolutely fascinating too, because like you guys, she started at a very early age with poetry as well. And I can't remember. For some reason, I remember her stories that her mother raised her and her twin sister, and but she also has a very fascinating story. So I was just wondering if you guys knew of her. What young poets today?
Do you guys get together? Is there just like a gathering place for poets that you guys? I don't know.
Well, to answer your question, I'm not familiar with her, but I definitely want to look her up. And then to answer your question, yes, poets get together all the time at open mics.
It's open mics.
And not necessarily always open mics. Sometimes just places where people are performing, where poets are welcome.
So here's what I'm thinking. Like, if I'm a listener or a viewer, and I'm like, I'm into poetry and I like to write poetry, but I don't know how to get in that world. Like, how does somebody step into the world that you guys are in? What's that path like? What do they do?
What does it look like?
They got a bunch of poems on paper, but
I
what do
know
they
a
do?
lot of people like that.
Yeah.
Who have things written on paper and have never stepped foot on a stage or have never read it to anyone. A lot of times they fear their own words, or they fear the criticism of their words or their feelings. So when I come across people like that, I try to encourage them to let someone hear it, because someone else feels the way they do, and they won't know that until they let someone else hear it.
Because it's personal. It's like when I cook, cooking is my art. And so if I make up a really awesome meal and I put it out and people say, ooh, or, it cuts. Because that's like my art. That's what I do. That's my thing. That's my picture. That's my poetry. Kind of thing. So it's the same thing with poetry. It's your art. It's your soul.
Right.
I always think of people when they do their art, it's part of their soul. It's who you are.
Right.
So when somebody rejects that, it's like, oh, kind of thing. It hurts. So I think that's why a lot of people, especially poets, have a hard time putting that out there, because that is, it's a really deep personal thing.
Do you find, like, when you're writing a poem, a lot of authors, when they're writing like a novel or a book, sometimes it just feels like it's never finished. Like, you always want to go back and change something, make it better. It's never done, which means it never really gets out there. Is it the same thing with poetry, or is it once it comes out of you and onto the paper, it's cathartic, it's birthed, it's done, it needs to see the world? Or do you keep going back and changing this word, and what's the process
depends
like?
on the poet, because for me, well, especially like not even just the poet, but the poem specifically, because there are some poems where I'll start it and I'll be like, okay, but I'll stop, and as soon as I stop, if I stop that day, I might not come back. There are poems in here from 2 years ago that, like,
Oh, wow.
a week before it was time to put the book out, I was like, I want to work on that one, and it was like, okay, and finished it and was like, this is it. But then there are books in here, little poems in here, and I haven't actually gone through and read the book since I put it out, because I know I'm going to read it and be like, dang, I should have changed this, or I could have done this, or I would have liked it better if I had done this. So it's never really done, especially if I perform. A lot of times I'll be on stage reading and we'll change it while I'm performing. And people are like, that wasn't in the book. And I'm like, yeah, it didn't make it, but it's here now, so.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And then I know, like, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I know, like, even for myself as a writer, like, when I'm writing, like, short stories and stuff, it's like, I'll just go in and instead of changing it and, like, crossing it out, I'll take it and I'll put a different ending. I'll write a different ending for it and start from a different place and just put an alternate ending and staple it to the back of the page.
Have you ever read one of your poems and, like, you're just like, oh, that's really good. Like, who wrote that? You know what I mean? Like, where did that come from? That's really
Yes.
good. Yeah. I've written some stuff and I've gone back and I've read it before, and if someone were to question me, like, on that page, I swear to God, it's like I didn't write it, but I did. You know what I'm saying? Where you're just like, I don't know where it came from. It was just coming out, you know?
You know, it's so funny. I don't do poetry. I write children's stories. But I was thinking, when you said that, I was thinking about when we first started podcasting, like I was afraid to listen to our podcast. I'm like, God, how silly are we gonna sound? And I started listening to them. I'm like, we are good. We are so funny. We have good chemistry.
She literally texted me that. Literally. Sent me a text. So funny.
We are really good. And I think I don't know. I don't think you should be critical of yourself when you're creating, or I don't know, maybe
It's
you
hard
do. Maybe
not
that's
to
what
be.
makes the good stuff come out. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Right, it is hard not to be.
It's like a kid. It's like your baby. Once you put it out there, you're just like, I
Exactly.
hope the world likes it.
Exactly.
I may think it's beautiful and it may be ugly as sin, but I see the beauty
Martha
in
used
it.
to ask
I
us
hope
that.
you
Did
like.
she? Do you think she's cute? That's the first thing your mother said about you. Do you
Never.
think she's cute?
It's
Never
okay because I knew I
asked-
was cute.
Never ask anyone
She was
if your
so
baby
cute.
is cute. But
She was
yeah,
so adorable.
you were.
She was. So tell us more about your process. Talk to us more about your process. How do you guys, get there, and what's next? And, oh, you know what I want to ask you guys is the state of the world today. How does the state of what's going on right now in the world today, do you feel any poetry coming up from that? And we will answer that after this break. And we're back.
Okay, so before we get back into that question, let me just shout out Andrew Lee, Kenny Ward Jr., and my good friend Kai. Thank you guys so much on here, especially for being really super duper active. I do appreciate that. And if you guys have any questions at all, do not be afraid to ask. We will stop and answer your questions, especially you guys on Facebook.
Yeah,
please
please.
ask.
Yeah, give us the question. So back to the question: is the state of current affairs inspiring you? Because a lot of creatives, you're like the voice. You're like the
Yeah.
what do you call it? Like the Jiminy Cricket, the ethics, the
Conscience.
the conscious of society. So do you guys feel like it's bringing something out of you? Like, I need to write about this, or I need to write about that, or because there's a lot going on in the world, right? We've got climate change,
Right.
we've got presidents being impeached, and we've got the world just kind of turning upside down, and
All kind of crazy.
yeah.
Wait, before you guys answer that, let me say something. So I've read both of their poems, low key. I know for a fact that she pulls from scenarios in real world, and that's how she does hers. But Marquita, she has this own little pain circle on the inside. I be, and so that's what I feel it is. I feel like it's more, yours is really all super duper personal experiences.
Yes.
Yours is kind of outside world affecting you and how that works and what your opinion is on it. Okay, go ahead and answer your question though. Validate that I was
She
right.
did.
You
That was it.
Right.
Okay, but I want to hear from you guys,
Well,
from the actual poets themselves.
My
How does the world
my
affect you?
poetry usually reflects my community or my experience. So I have a lot of poems about living in. The reason I always say I live in the ghetto, I live in Leimert Park, which is not necessarily a bad area. My block is perfectly fine. We got a little stuff going on every now and then, but it's not a bad area. But I can tell people oh, I live off of MLK, and people are like, oh. And I'm like, okay, well, I understand. And at school, a lot of people not knowing about my neighborhood, I'd be like, oh, Crenshaw. They'd be like, oh, does he live in the ghetto? So I'm like, okay. So a lot of my poems are ghetto inspired, and then they just reflect in the last year I've lost maybe 8 friends to gang violence. So it's
Oh, wow.
I have a lot of poems reflecting that, and then just
Oh, wow.
right, being in my community, seeing how my community's changing, I have poems reflecting that. So it's more so not just political issues in general, but how political issues are affecting Black people is more so what my poems.
I like that. So I did read one of your poems, and it started off relationships, and I think tell me about that. because it said something about putting down the blade. Please, that one caught me. I mean, I read all the samples you had up there, but that one caught me and it stuck with me.
Well, read it.
So tell me about that.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's in
you
the
read it.
beginning.
Okay, read it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Wow, you got some big writing in
good.
this.
Yeah, no, the other ones are kind of like, it's in the beginning, but as soon as you say relationship, I knew, because I don't have a lot of relationship poems, because, you know.
Oh, it's got a title.
Yeah.
She said she didn't like titles.
No, they have titles, but they're not like super specific regarding the poem, so that it's like still fresh. Sometimes the titles are also like the poem itself. But
Right.
it's titled Relationship Advice, and it says, "Go to your bathroom right now and throw away your old razor, because you shouldn't have to hurt or bleed to feel loved." And so it's that actually stemmed because, you know, in the shower if you buy cheap razors, and in college I'm buying everything cheap because it's college. But the razors I was getting from Dollar General were like dirt cheap, just broken, crusty, and I was always cutting myself, and I'm like, I don't even want to shave my legs. Not that like I never want to shave my legs, but if I'm wearing jeans all month because it's winter, I'm shaving my legs just in case somebody sees me. But it's like if somebody sees me, it shouldn't matter how I present myself. If I feel like I'm beautiful like this, then it shouldn't matter. So it was kind of like I'm nicking myself, I'm bleeding every other shower because I'm trying to please other people. So it was more like a...
I'm so glad I don't have to do that anymore. At a certain point in life, your hair just stops growing.
And
Right,
people
you
don't
guys
even
know
look
that
at
right
your legs
now.
anymore. It
You need to
doesn't
know that
matter.
right now. One day you don't have to do that. Print that.
So tell me about how it's actually affected you, you know, the current state of affairs, and if it's affected you at all, and your craft and your art.
It doesn't. Actually, Stacy was on point. I write about things that personally happen to me or someone that I know. Like I said, 90% of my book is about my life experiences from the time I started writing. Of course, my life didn't start at 15, but my poetry life started at 15. And so I write about the things that happen directly to me. So the things that indirectly affect me don't really affect my poetry.
So I listened to one of your poems as well.
Yes, which one?
So it was a very intimate poem.
Ah.
Oh, great.
And my question to you is because how did you get to the point, are you at that point that you let that part of yourself out for people to hear? It's a very intimate poem. And what's the name of it?
Well, there's a few.
Is it Sting?
What do you
What
think
say it
it
again?
is?
It's
Strings?
Strings. Yes, that's it.
Strings.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead and let
Thank
it out.
Can we read it on air, or is it a
You
little
can listen
too
to it on
intimate?
her website.
Okay.
It's way intimate.
Okay.
But
It's-
So you guys have to go to her website.
But when I was
listen
listening to it, I was thinking, this is definitely something she's experienced.
Right.
But how do you get to the point where you allow people to experience that with you, or experience that, or hear that about that part of you?
It didn't take long, because I felt like if I feel like this, somebody else probably does. So I was never a shy kid, even
Yeah.
before I started doing poetry. So when I got on the mic and realized people like me, they like what I'm saying, I want to do it again. It was like a ride. And so I was never shy with the poems that I read. Of course, I would select my pieces according to the audience. And I don't know if you do that, Dee Dee, when you go into a place. So as poets, your audience chooses your poem. You can have a poem set in mind, like, okay, I'm going in, about to do this piece, about to knock them out. Oh, it's a lot of older people. I can't do that piece.
Yeah.
So, you know, your audience tends to choose your pieces, but my poems, I think, are directed towards women and girls. So
Yeah.
when I see teenagers in the room, especially females, I can probably read anything because I think they can relate.
So when you have musicians, a lot of times musicians will say, you know, my best work comes out of like the tragedy in my life. Like when things are horrible, that's when I write really good songs. And suddenly when life gets great, you know, you got the money, the fame, everything's good, you know, suddenly they can't write anymore. They can't write any good songs because they have to be in a form of duress almost in order to write well. Do you find that's the same with poets?
Not for me.
Yeah, no, not for me.
Okay, that's good.
Whatever I feel,
Even if it's joy.
yes,
That's good.
absolutely.
That's nice.
Well, I would write about menopause. Because lots like that's my life right now. I'm sorry, it is. You just, I can't back up off who I am. I'm always gonna be me. That's my life right now. But the getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, right? Like right now, I'm really sleepy. I was just telling my sissy that I'm so tired. These people can stay up late all night long, and no, my bedtime is at 7 o'clock.
Who are these people that are staying up that late?
Except for you, you little old lady.
She's talking about us when we were young, when we were your age. We were up and about and out and
Yeah,
doing
because
things.
we, girl,
till
weren't
wee
we,
hours
we
in
were
the
doing
morning.
our thing, right?
So I don't understand. Where do you these
Are you guys not enjoying
No,
your
I'm-
young life?
I'm a night person.
Are you?
I'm up till 1, 2 in the morning sometimes.
Wow, that's wild.
And then I get up at
You
7.
have a super creative mind.
I guess so.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
I woke up at
super
8 today.
creative.
Oh,
I was
see?
when I was
What's
taking a
that choice?
psychology course. Super creative people
Mm,
are their mind is constantly. It's hard to shut it down, and
yeah.
Gary's the same way. His mind works the same way. Like he's like. Sometimes you could be having a conversation, and your mind has already leaped three sentences ahead of whatever somebody's saying to you. You've already moved on. And that because your mind is going, it's constantly working. Super creative people's mind is constantly working.
Felt the dart. Okay, so where do you guys see yourself in the future? Like, where do you want to go? Like, where are you trying to go? You know, moving forward.
Yeah, really.
What do you see? What do you see?
I haven't, honestly, not that I've reached like a wall, because I still write poems every day, but I have no plans necessarily, because writing a book was never in my plans. But in high school, they voted me most likely to write a book, and I'm like, okay, I can try this. And then it just so happened that my brother wrote a book, and I was like, okay, now I have to try this, because it's not fair, like, he can't outshine me. And then I kind of just was like, bang, here's my book, to just one-up him. But I'm in college, so if I write a poem, that's like, great. Oh, congratulations, you had time to do that. But
What's your major?
I'm a double major in psychology and criminal justice. So,
Okay.
not
That'll
that.
be a profiler.
So you're gonna like
Sounds like a profiler to me.
you're gonna read him a poem as you're locking him up.
Right.
Silence. I call this one Silence of the Lambs.
Is your brother older than you?
Yeah.
He's older.
He's 7.5 years old.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
I got another. Get your ass in there.
No, my sister became a teacher
Uh-huh.
after I said I was going to do it first.
It was like,
Yeah, 7 years. She knows my name.
This is what it's all
Serious
about. I
shadow,
love
too.
this.
And what about you? What does the future bring for you? What do you hope for the future?
I definitely want to travel with my book.
Oh, nice.
And I really want to travel the world and let people hear my story.
Nice.
You know where you should start? Paris. Not even kidding you. They love
Yeah, it's known
jazz
for that.
and poetry.
It's known
is
for
set up for that.
Okay.
poets.
Yeah,
Oh,
jump
I'm
on
not
the
even
cruise,
kidding
get
you.
off the boat.
Paris. That's the place to go.
in the springtime.
Okay.
Yeah, don't. Yeah.
Okay. Paris.
Yeah.
But it's fun. You may not want to leave.
Exactly, I'm telling you. Get on the boat,
Mm-hmm.
get off the boat, don't get back on the boat.
Okay. Okay. Have my clothes
Well,
shipped to me.
Marquita, when you get your house in Paris,
Oh,
call me.
Knock, 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 knock. Who is it? We're
I'm kidding.
Okay.
Whole time I'm being serious.
So fun. You guys have been so much fun. So now we have our What did we call these?
Speed round questions.
Speed round questions. So everybody take a speed round question out of
We
there.
don't all answer the same question at one time.
Everybody take one. Okay, Van White.
No hate because you can't get it like me.
Okay, so
Read your
whoever
question.
wants to go first.
Somebody want to switch questions?
Read your question.
Great.
A lot of thought to go.
No, because everybody, it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to answer it.
Oh, okay.
And there's no
Everybody's
right
gonna
or
answer
wrong
everyone's
question.
question. Oh.
Yeah, everybody's going to answer everybody's question. So whoever wants to go first, read the question.
Go ahead, Didi.
Oh,
I don't even know that.
All
answer
right.
line.
It says, if you ran the world, what is one law you would enact?
What is one?
One law you would enact.
Oh.
My queen.
Sorry.
We get deep.
That's a good question,
It is.
I think. Especially for you young folks.
Got a little toasty reading that question. But, I don't know how I would set up the law, but I would like a law that each community would have to have some type of homeless and like more than welfare resources. So like for my community, they put a gate around Lemert Park to keep the homeless people out, but they didn't create an alternative for them sleeping in the parks with their tents. It's like, if you're gonna remove me from here and force me on the sidewalk, at least build a building where I can be safe from the weather conditions.
Did you
Yeah,
know
I
that?
don't get that.
um,
Yeah.
So, to like be all about your question right now and your answer, actually, Supreme Court just passed a law that you can no longer remove the homeless people.
Oh,
so they're
good.
moving back to Lemert Park. Yeah. So
Hey.
they're outside the line.
Right, right.
about it.
Can't do anything about it. Why they? Okay.
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
always great.
What's your law, Stacey?
I'd get rid of guns. We gonna live like Canada, or we're gonna live like the UK, somewhere nice where don't have to worry about dying at any moment. I've actually been my biggest fear because I work at 5 a.m. and it's dark outside. It's pitch black. I feel like someone's gonna run up on me with a gun, and that's just gonna be the end of it.
Don't
They're
you
gonna
have a
catch me.
spray thing?
No, we're not allowed to bring weapons into my place of business. They'll kick us out. They'll fire us.
Then you need to take.
Well,
that,
they have people
it's-
to walk you out.
No,
really
there's
martial
nobody
arts
there. It's
course.
5 a.m. I'm opening. I'm literally lifting up the gate. I'm
You're by
turning
yourself.
locks.
Are you the only?
HL is there, but like if we're coming at different times,
They don't have
obviously I gotta
security
clock
at the
in.
same time.
So the question
No,
is where is
We're a
security?
nonprofit. We are a nonprofit organization. So if you guys would like to donate thousands of dollars to security, I'd enjoy that.
I'll
You
donate
need
$5
to-
to a spray can.
So you need to take the Israeli martial arts course.
We actually
And
teach
that-
Taekwondo, which I did take the
No,
class. so-
not Taekwondo. Not you need to come at me this way. The Israeli martial arts, and it's gonna they're good.
Mhm.
It works. The other stuff you got to come in a certain way and all this stuff. Meanwhile, you got your
No,
blanket.
Taekwondo's not like that. You should see me. I was in there. I was.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? Israeli martial arts.
Yeah,
That is the way to go. That's what you need to
don't
do.
Mess with them. You don't mess with them.
What's your law?
There's a few that I have.
Okay.
I guess my top two that are standing out in my mind is for police officers to be retrained and possibly retrained without weapons.
Yeah,
Finding-
they're done.
Finding other ways to take down someone. And then with weapons, making sure that kids don't bring weapons into the schools. Because that's like an epidemic right now. Kids are killing kids and then killing themselves.
But I feel like
So-
the alternative or the fix to that is just putting like having clear backpacks and metal detectors. But that's not protecting me from anything. Or I would feel like as a student or a high school student, especially because that's mostly where it is like you're taking away my freedoms.
Yeah, but I think that at some point, somebody's freedom probably has to be taken in order for everyone else to be safe. Because people are dying.
That's
at the
right,
hands
but not a
of,
clear
you know what I mean?
backpack, so everybody can see
Yeah.
that I have gum. Actually, I had a clear backpack one time, and I had gum in there. Everybody stopped me. Can I have a piece of gum? No, you.
See? So
Like-
it worked in your favor.
No. 'cause-
Well, it worked.
No,
it worked in everyone
against-
else's
Yeah,
favor.
it did, but I was the. I didn't
Because
see anybody
everyone's
else's gum.
scoping on your stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Like, what if I had pads in my backpack? Like
You should be able to conceal those, I would think.
you would
Yeah.
think.
You would think. Tell me your question.
What do you do to relax? We'll start this
What
one.
is so hard
your
about that
question?
question? What? Why'd you want to switch? Hell.
Maybe she never relaxes.
I don't.
Dang.
I like to stay on edge because I'm ready all the time. Like if I relax, I get too comfortable. If I get too comfortable, nothing gets done. That's just what it is, and that's the truth of the matter. Like when you relax,
All you ever
too much,
talk about is sleeping.
and how much I wish I could.
She
That's-
talks about it. She
I
doesn't
always
say
wish I
talk
could
about
be
it.
asleep, but I can't. If I'm asleep, I'm not getting anything done.
So
Yeah.
Watch, one day I'm gonna take a nap and you guys aren't gonna see me, and you're gonna be upset, so you're gonna call me.
I think she's dead. No, she's just sleeping. Kick her.
She's just
Find out.
sleeping.
So in your dream world, your imaginary world, where everything's perfect, what do you do to relax?
Nothing. I don't like to relax. I like to be on edge. Like that's my relaxation, is to know I'm ready for the next step. I don't have to worry about anything else. I got 5 meetings today. Great. I'm ready for each and every one. Got my
How
got
old
my tab
are you
here,
now?
my tab there. It's fun. Like it's nice to be ready.
How old are you now?
22.
That's like a recipe
So
for
when
hypertension.
you hit 30,
No,
I'm
it's,
gonna
like,
I'm gonna
fun.
ask you this question again.
And I'm gonna tell you the
It
same
starts
thing.
to slow down.
So what do you do to relax?
So I kind of do the same thing. I just the
You are young.
stress
There's a trend.
because well it's not I never not that I never have a reason to relax, but I'm never unrelaxed. I don't want to say stressed because I feel like for the most part I'm stressed a lot, but I'm not.
So you need to learn how to relax. And if you guys are so
No,
stressed,
it's the fun part about it, or the relaxation part about it, is being on your edge of seat, so you're ready to go. So that's like me saying, that's me waking up at 8:30 in the morning, calling Dee Dee and be like, let's go to Six Flags. She ready to go because she on the edge, and that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what
That's
happened.
exactly what happened. She went to Six Flags. First off, we got
On the
back home.
fly.
Yeah.
Say that
Well,
about
no, we
work.
planned
maybe
it,
they
but
don't
like
know what
low-key.
relaxation
Okay.
means.
I think
Maybe
that's
they don't
it.
understand.
I might not know what
Understand
relaxation
that
means.
Because
but
it
I know
sounds
was-
to
it was
me,
fun to me.
relaxation for you is going to Six Flags.
No, it's being able to just be on the fly 24/7, like be ready to go, on the edge, ready.
That is
Let's go.
exactly the opposite of what relaxation means.
No,
I'm
have
never
fun.
like super tense though, so I never have to relax. Like, well, my muscles are tense, but that's just like I'm not like a fight person. But as far as like emotionally, I'm never like tense. If I feel like I'm getting stressed or my stress is getting out of hand, I'll like micromanage. Like I'll literally do every hour, and I'll be like, all right, cool. It stresses me out knowing that I have so much to do in
Yeah.
the 24 hours, but it's like that's cool though, because I know what I gotta do. So that's what relaxes.
Can't even
Exactly,
wait
having
till
a
you hit
list.
30. I just can't even wait.
It's gonna be fun, right? What do
Right?
you do to relax?
I'm a gamer, so
Oh, what do you play?
everything.
What's your favorite to
Uno.
play?
Yes.
Oh, cards. You play cards.
But I play it on my tablet.
Okay,
Oh.
yeah.
So I don't
Okay.
play the paper one. I mean, I will. You know, if someone hands me the cards, you know, of course I'm there for it.
Uh-huh.
But everything's on my tablet and of course on my phone. So my moment of relaxation is when I can lay down with the TV on, may or may not be watching it, and we playing a game, and I'm good.
Nice.
I'm nice. I'm good. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about
I'm the same as you.
anything. So
I'm the same as you.
That's
may
my
have the TV on,
relaxation.
may or may not be watching it.
Wait, so then were you playing Fortnite with the kids? I mean,
I don't play Fortnite with the kids.
okay.
Because just seeing them reenact it, I don't want to
Reenact
play it.
Fortnite. What kind of kids you
Yeah.
have?
They're always doing.
The little dance.
Oh, that. Okay.
So
Yeah.
I don't care to indulge in that game. I'm okay.
Okay, so what about Apex?
What is that?
Oh, my uncle plays Apex,
I'll see.
and my friends play Apex.
I don't play Apex.
One
I
to
wouldn't
check
know.
out.
Okay, so other than like card
Do
games
you
like on
know
your
those
phone, what
games?
other kind of games do you actually like?
I
to
don't
play?
know what Apex is. I haven't checked out Apex.
What do I have on there? I have general games like pool, dominoes.
Oh, you play all the old people games on the phone.
See, I'm old. I can't.
I
go
thought you were
that.
gonna be like, I love
You
to
know,
play
I'm-
episodes, some
listen,
like lifestyle type
Listen,
games.
I am 42. I'm
What do you
42.
what? What do you play? Decorate that home?
Ew, no. First off, I play Love Island. Right?
Why you have to say you?
That's an old people game. That is an old people game, and it's decorate your home. I've seen that out enough times to know that.
Yeah, I know you be playing
I
little
think-
games and it pops up and you try to close it out.
Exactly.
I mean, I play boring games, but
No,
wouldn't
I
know,
play
but-
Love Island 24/7. I've replayed season 1 and 2 twice, and the reunion 5 times. Goes hard. Download Love
Are
Island.
those real?
Love Island? the best game in the world.
All right, we got one last question. What's your question?
My question is, and I did not have an answer. What is one job you would never do, no matter how much you were paid?
Oh. Wait.
Ooh.
Janitor
Is it only
At
one?
Actually, I know.
at a Catholic school.
What?
Because, yeah, you don't want to do that. It's just the grossest job in the whole entire
I
world.
don't know what kind of weird
That's-
stuff happened
I
when
think
you were at
somebody's gotta
school.
do it.
So let me
Yeah,
tell
I'm
you, kids throw. Actually was a janitor at a girls' Catholic school. They go in the bathroom
Oh, I
and
thought you
throw
meant-
up on the wall.
Yeah.
I don't know why there's so much
did that.
gum up under the desk. The trash can is right there. I don't know how they get so much stuff all over the floor.
Okay, but
It's
that
just
happens
like-
at any school, and it's
just
funny.
gross. It's
Something
a
for the
gross
business. Clean it up.
gross job.
I was never
That's
one
my
of those kids.
that's my
Somebody's
One
got
time,
to
one
do it.
but not me.
No, I never actually threw it up. But I would just look up there. I'm like, who had the time for this? Like, how long were you in the bathroom? And I just sit there, but it was really funny. Like, now that I actually know what you're talking about, I thought you were gonna say something like really weird and gross.
Yeah,
That
like they
wasn't
throw the
it.
paper up on top of it.
No,
See, I think
that's a
about
regular
that when
thing
I
to
see
do.
when I see shoes hanging off like the electrical
The
line. I'm like, who took the time to just fling some
gonna
shoes,
go
like
do
tie the shoestrings together and
Look up at what
whose
she-
shoes are
Yeah,
up
but
there?
you know, I often
Up
thought
there.
about that too. But
Yeah.
apparently down south,
would.
that
Yes,
is
Run up to the grave first.
a way that you pay respect to someone that has died.
To throw their
gang member.
shoes on an
Throw
electrical
shoes
line?
across the line.
In
I
the
mean, it's never
South.
coming
What?
down.
That's not the same out here. That it means.
I don't know what it means out
Great.
here.
So what does it mean? Enlighten me.
I was told that it's a sign saying that they have drugs in that area.
I was just gonna say that.
What?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Oh,
That's
that's
really?
good to
that
know.
one.
See, I did not know that.
That's good to know.
Exactly. That means roll up those windows,
down
lock the
south
doors,
it's
and drive
completely
faster.
That's
I
what
didn't
I
know
heard
that.
that it means here. That's why I was like, so that's what it means in the South.
See, I
Yeah.
thought somebody was being bullied. I'm like, oh, there's some poor kid running around without his shoes. Because somebody threw his shoes up on the line. Oh my gosh.
So, oh well, that's good to know.
Yeah. You learned something new tonight.
Seems like
That is absolutely fascinating. This
It
is the
is.
way things transition, the meaning of things transition from place to place.
Yeah.
It cracks me up.
Yeah.
So,
crazy.
I still don't know how to answer this
Go
question.
for it.
So. I'm
What?
sorry.
What?
Oh, you know how to answer? I don't know.
Yeah, I would never want to work in fast food a day in my life. I don't care if you work in fast food now. I don't care. It's grimy. It's nasty. No, people are rude.
But somebody's got
That's
to
just
do
what it
it.
is.
Because where are you
Okay,
going to get
you know
your
what?
Jack
You
in the Box and
you
McDonald's?
just set
and-
yourself up for every fast food person that's watching this. You go into their
That's
spit in your food.
okay because you know what? I'm gonna start rolling in there like. Like that's
I'll
just what it is.
take 2 cheeseburgers.
And then also, I don't get out of the car. No, you gotta answer this. You gotta answer this.
I don't know.
There's
Okay, we'll
something
come
you
back
wouldn't
to
want to
Did you
do.
guys ever watch that show Dirty Jobs?
Yeah.
No.
Where he was just like, he'd go into sewers and clean out sewers and stuff like that.
Heard of it, but
There's
I've
a whole
never
show
seen it.
about
I've heard
that.
it, but I've never seen it.
I wouldn't want to go into a sewer either. It's gross.
So you're saying you don't want to be a trash man?
No.
Or
I have
woman?
higher expectations than that. Actually, they make a lot of money. I'll do
Oh!
They do.
it. I would do that. I would sit there and pick up people's trash cans and let's go.
Like,
You know what?
you
I
got
got-
all types of like different trash trucks
Respect
now,
the
so
work.
you really
Yeah.
are not.
I do. First off, I respect the
Yeah.
trash man because they make money.
I think
They
every
make
job
what?
has dignity.
Money.
It's the dignity you bring to the job. There shouldn't really be a job that you would say, you know, this job is beneath me. It's too low for me to do. If you really need the money, you're gonna do it. It's a job. If
I
you
really
need the money,
needed the
right?
money at the time, but
Exactly.
I would never do
So
that
you
again.
did it.
I would never
Yeah.
do it again.
But
I would
if
just
you had
be
to,
a
you
need
would.
Until
It would be on your resume. You'd be like, yep, back in 1867, I
was
cleaned
in.
up. Exactly. So every job has dignity to it, I think. It's the dignity that you bring to that job.
All right, what job would you never
There
want
is
to do?
no job that I would say that I would never do. There really isn't.
Okay. What about you?
President.
Okay. Why? I'm
Yeah.
curious to know.
I'd be the leader of the free world any day.
Free. Free for who?
You're right. I'm
That's
making it free.
your illusion. Your illusion of freedom.
No, I would never want to be president just because one, I feel like you go in the office and people are automatically like, oh, here we go again. Here we better start all over. And if there's change, there's change. And if there's change, it's not even like, woo, this person made a difference. I love it. It's just like, you know what I mean? Okay, the bar was on the floor. Like, you did better than this person, but
The bar was on
that
the
was
floor.
There was no way not to step over.
You didn't know.
There was no way not to get over that.
I think the bar is really like, don't be worse than that person.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's at this point it's really not difficult to one up, but it's like people are not attempting to. Well, the reason I can never be president is because I'm not selfish, but I'm very like community oriented. So it's like Beverly Hills not gonna get no love from me, but like Leimert Park, Baldwin Hills, Compton, even though there's white people in there now, like communities.
Gentrification.
Right. Communities that are like, ethnically strong, let's say that. Those are the communities I'm going for first. The other communities, you had billionaires helping you from day one. In my laws, you might get overlooked. That's why I can't be president, because it's not selfish, but it's selfish. Like, when the Beverly Hills people get to saying, my mansion gates, they won't close, I'm like, dang. It's crazy.
So funny, she sounds like a little black Elizabeth Warren. But it's true what you say, because we live not far from here, and so the VA is right there, and so now there's this homeless population surrounding the VA, and so when I used to go to these meetings with my husband, which I hated going to, it's all these women would sometimes do is sit around and talk about how the community was upset because a man parked his homeless camper outside their front door or on the side. And then you go to these community meetings where they ask what's going on, ask the police people what's going on in the community, and all you hear is, what are they going to do about the homeless population? Well, what are you going to do about the homeless population, people? Instead of just crying about it, what are you going to do about it? Instead of worrying about, my car got slashed, or a lot of that stuff is popping up, and they think it's because of the homeless population. Now, some of it may be because they moved in, but some of it was already there, and they were just looking for somebody else to blame it on. So,
I think it's a.
to your point, yes, that's the crazy crap they worry. Not crazy crap, but it's the crap that they worry about, but they're not willing to do anything about.
But it shows you there's sort of like this saying that a society can be gauged based on how they treat the least in their society, how they treat like their homeless and their poor and their children and their animals. That's how you can gauge a society, not how they treat the best of them, right? The people who are millionaires and have everything, whatever, but how you treat the people who don't have. And I think we're starting to see a decline in that, like majorly, like,
You mean how we treat the homeless
how
people?
the fact that we even have homeless people. It's like, why are we a society that even tolerates that? Shouldn't we as a society be saying, all right, there are people who don't, what's the basics, right? The basics are you need food, clothing, and shelter, and water, right? 4 things to live. The basics. And so if people don't even have those basics, we as a society shouldn't even tolerate that. We should make it a priority that those 4 things are given to all people who live in our society.
Sam, president 2025, 100 million years from now. That's how I feel about that. Like, I think you should run for president. You only gotta be an American at the age of 35.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying, if
No,
you're gonna have
job
policies
wouldn't
to
do.
change the
Every
world.
job.
Every
What's
job
the
is
job?
the dignity
job
you
I
bring
wouldn't
to
do.
it.
Yeah.
That's the job.
I'm not gonna
That's
be
the
lazy.
job.
That's
See, you guys can't see me on camera, but I'm shaking my head and saying no.
There's the
No.
job you wouldn't
She
do.
said there's no job she wouldn't do, but we found it.
Exactly.
I think you might have. You know why? Because it would frustrate the heck out of me. And I think you kind of see that when people come into politics, they can come in with these big ideas and like, I want to do this and I want to change that. And then they get into the machinery and they find out,
Like
I
engineering?
can't change crap.
You
except
come in
this
with
one
brown
little
hair, you
edge."
leave with gray hair.
Exactly. And
Like-
so the whole thing needs to be just redone.
Oh,
So,
yeah, but how do you do that? I mean, because, like, if this presidency has shown me anything, is that we are not protected against the people we entrust our lives to. We are not protected against
I'm
a
out.
president
See,
that
it
will
can
hurt
be-
us,
I'm
or
out.
Congress that won't protect us.
it can be
didn't
undone
trust
in
my
the
husband
worst
with
way.
I've never trusted
We've
nobody
seen
like
that,
that.
right?
Mhm.
It's
What
easy
does
to
that
undo
trust
it in the
Maxine
worst
Waters?
way.
Yeah.
For some
Trust
reason,
mama
we
and
make
my
it very
neighbor.
easy for someone to just tear crap down,
I'm in a
right?
Oh,
But
okay.
we put up walls
Like
for
a
them to
Lego
actually build
set,
it
it's
up.
hard to put it
But-
back together. So now, go ahead.
Oh,
Stacey.
I was gonna comment on what you guys said about trusting these people with our lives. Never trusted a single one of them. That's what me and Dee Dee were just actually having a little sidebar about. Was that we didn't ask for a single one of them. We just got kind of thrown in there. However, I was saying as a congressperson, the only person I actually trust, Maxine Waters. She's for the people.
Go Max. Go Auntie Max.
All right, so with that, we need to wrap it up. We want
Exactly.
to thank our sponsor.
Go Graphics and Printing Company, finally affordable color printing. You can find them at gographics.net, or you can call at 310-445-9999 and talk to Gary. Thank you for your support and all our friends on Facebook. And we would love to thank our
Guess. Oh. Dee Dee, Nazima, as she goes, and Poetess Pride, Pryde.
All links will be in the show notes at the bottom. When you guys tune in on YouTube, you'll see the links to their website. And we'll
Yeah.
see you guys next time.
Alright, we're gonna have an Instagram sidebar. Hey girl.